Hi peeps, Junction 6 here. Not many people know, I don't think, but I used to be in the Royal Navy. That's why I play World of Tanks Blitz, because if I played World of Warships and I was rubbish, there'd be no excuse because I was in the Navy. When I joined the Navy, my first ship was HMS Torquay. It was so old that it was still driven by steam power. That's how old it was. This picture is in Portsmouth Dockyard when we were ammunitioning ship. My next ship after that was HMS Exeter, very famous in the Navy because of its light blue bottom. I was on it when it had that. It was a trial for some anti-fouling paint, which was only available commercially and only came in light blue. So we trialled it and then said yes, we'll have it, and they made a black version for the Navy. The ship after that was HMS Manchester, which was considered by quite a lot of people as a very unlucky ship. As you can see down the side, on both sides, it's got that girder type thing, which is reinforcement to stop the front of the ship breaking away from the rest of the ship. As you can see, the number on the side is D95. The ninth letter of the alphabet being I, the fifth being E, so it spells die. Not a great omen for a ship at all. Having said that, I had a fantastic time on that ship, one of my favourite ships. Went to quite a lot of places on it, and I got promotion as well. Next major ship I joined was HMS Cornwall, the Fighting Ice Cream as it was known, because of the pennant number on the side, F99. Obviously a 99 in England is a ice cream cone with a flake chocolate in it, and so we were always known as the Fighting Ice Cream. During my time in the Royal Navy, I managed to go to 50 different countries, and on this map there's a few things I'd like to point out. The yellow circle at the top is the furthest north I went, just across the Arctic Circle until I got my blue nose badge for that. To the right there, the green circle is Singapore. That's the furthest east I went. The red circle to the left is Florida. That's the furthest west I went. And the white circle at the bottom is South Georgia, which is the furthest south I went, and I did cross the Antarctic Circle, so I got a blue nose badge for that as well. The little grey cross to the left of it is Punta Arenas, which is a city in Chile which I went to. Claims to be the most southerly city in the world, by population anyway, with the largest population. And the pink cross is the Farquhar Islands, or Farquhar Atolls. Now, nobody's ever heard of them. Population 1. And we met the guy who was there picking coconuts. The orangey coloured cross is Djibouti. Not a very nice place at all. I met the American ambassador to Djibouti, and I did ask him who he'd upset to get that gig. It's not a very nice place at all. The final cross, the blue one, is Sri Lanka. It's where I met Arthur C. Clarke, the guy who wrote 2001 A Space Odyssey. And he showed me a piece of moon rock, which I held in my hand, which he was given by NASA, because he helped put the man on the moon in some way. Not really sure how, didn't go into details, but he had a piece of moon rock. One thing a lot of people ask me about is the replenishment at sea. Was it scary, and how's it done? And so I thought I'd put together a little thing showing you how we do this refuelling while we're at sea. It's not that scary, trust me, because people know what they're doing. The first thing obviously is you've got to come alongside the other vessel. That's an RFA there, Royal Fleet Auxiliary, carries supplies and fuel, and that will be going at a set speed and course. It will not deviate speed or course. It is up to the approaching ship to do all the manoeuvring. And ideally you want to be about 80 yards from the ship, definitely no closer than 60, and it's pushing it if you go over 100 yards away. The very first thing which will happen is the approaching ship will fire a line across. The whistle there to tell us that the line's about to be fired is fed out, and once the RFA receives it, they attach 2 other lines to it and it is hauled back to the ship. As you can see, there's 2 lines there connected to it. One's a telephone and one's a distance indicator. Once it's being pulled back, a thicker rope comes along, the telephone gets tested, and the guys start to pull in the heavier lines. Once the heavier lines are on, you can pull across the nozzle. Just like in the petrol station, it's a big heavy nozzle and it takes some manhandling. Now, that is the distance line. As you can see, it is marked off every 20 yards. And there's 1, 2, 3, and the yellow one is the 4th one, which is the 80-yard mark. While this is all going on, the captain is not only concentrating on where the ship's going, he's got to be aware of what's going on the RAS deck and the fueling. They're connected up. Nowadays, of course, it's a bit easier. You haven't got the manhandling like in the first bit. You have these automatic RAS derricks, which have different receivers on the end, depending what fuel you're taking. But it's not only fuel you can get supplies as well, and ammunition. You can also pass people across using the same rig up. I've never been in that situation where I've had to go from ship to ship, but I have seen other people do it, and that is scary. Once you're all connected up, and you can then start pumping the fuel. The first thing which is done is the fuel is tested for purity and the gauge is checked for the pumping pressure. The reason you need to know the pumping pressure is so you can work out when the tanks are full, because the last thing you want to be doing is overfilling those tanks and then overflowing inside the ship. Now this bit I think is for a bit of dramatic license, because he's telling the guy how much space there is in the tanks, but that would be done at the briefing before the RAS starts, so he would already have those numbers and he would be working out the calculations of how long they need to pump for each tank beforehand. So he would already know that. I'm sure this is just dramatic license. You can carry on razzing. Now it can take a few hours to actually fill up, depending what you're going to take. Once you're done, you can return the rig, just drop it over the side and slowly let it go back. Once your line's gone, you can go on your merry way to either do exercises or go to some port somewhere in the world. But of course it's a long hard day, and so after that it's back to the mess for some hard-earned beer. And yes, Royal Navy ships do have bars on board for senior rates and officers. This picture was taken about 6 months before I joined the ship, so I'm not in it, unfortunately, but I do know people who are. I hope you found that interesting, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.